Distributech 2023, one of the sponsors of these interviews, and these are interviews with thought leaders from around North America and the globe. Our sponsors are H2 Scan. H2 Scan is the leading sensor manufacturer for hydrogen sensing in a lot of different applications, in transformers, in battery room safety, in processes in safety, in industrial, and in the future hydrogen economy. So I want to thank our sponsors, and I want to thank all of our guests, and I hope you enjoy this interview. So my next guest is Anthony Allard. He is the Executive Vice President of Hitachi Energy. He's for North America, correct, Anthony?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I did Bill Miller with your company
Yes.
a while back, and it was a great interview. So you have a bar that you have to reach.
Well, I'll do my best, but
Okay,
it's a
thank
tough
you very
one.
much. Tell me a little bit about you and how you got into the industry, about why you're in power systems at all.
Sure. Yeah. So I studied electrical engineering many years ago. So
Where would you study?
in France,
Okay,
which
all right.
I'm originally from France. So I studied there, and moving into the energy industry was kind of a natural move for me. So I've pretty much been in that industry ever since.
Okay. How did you get to move to North America as your area of expertise? Because now you got to kind of herd cats, because there's a lot of change going on here, right? We have 50 states doing 50 things, and we got the IRA with the federal government policy changes, a lot of things going on. So tell me about that transition.
That transition from France to the US. Well, I actually moved to the US to study, and I pretty much stayed in the US ever since. So that was also a natural academic transition.
You went to Yale, right?
I did.
Okay, so you're either smart, your parents were rich, or both.
Yale made a mistake and let me in. That's the explanation.
No, that's great. That's wonderful. So when did you start with Hitachi Energy? And I know there were some mergers and things that took on. Was it Hitachi Energy when you started, or were you with?
It was, yes. I joined the company at the end of 2020. So prior to that, I was in Singapore, actually. So moved back to the US to take on this role.
In Singapore, what were you doing?
I was working for an independent power producer focused on renewable energy in Asia.
Okay. When you talk about your role and your job as the executive VP for North America, is that in a developmental role, and I'm talking about the business development side, or is that in a technology role in terms of or both?
So I represent Hitachi Energy for North America. So really the company itself. But we have many teams here on the technology side, on the manufacturing side, on the commercial side, et cetera. So we have a full team. We have about 3,600 employees here in the US.
Excellent. When you say represent all of that together, you obviously have to represent to the customer, the utility industry. What do you think their biggest problems are today that they're dealing with?
I would say the number one, based on the frequency of topics, I think the transformer situation right now is something that really worries and concerns our customers.
So I have to stop you for a minute. Back at the IEEE PES last year, the problem on transformers was supply chain. It was the supply chain issues, right? Because COVID, we couldn't get parts. Today, it's a supply chain issue still, but it's demand curve. The demand for transformers has gone through the roof. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, demand has gone through the roof. At the same time, supply chain challenges are still here. They've not really disappeared. But compounded on top of it now is demand. So yeah, demand, we see a lot of demand right now for a number of reasons, whether it's to keep the age of the fleet stable. There is a lot of refurbishment ongoing with some of our customers. The expansion of the grid as we shift towards electrification of the economy, there is more and more need to expand the grid. Then there's electrification of the industry, also shifting some of the process towards electricity. Offshore wind also becoming a big topic in the US. So those are just examples among many other ones that are really creating that growth in demand. And we believe that this is here to stay for some time.
Yeah, it's not a short-term problem.
No, it's not.
What is Hitachi doing about it?
Many things, many things, many things. So, I mean, it depends on the subject, right? But I'll take the example of transformers, which is a big one top of mind. So when we look at transformers, we see a couple of constraints, but just to name a few, one of them is around labor, another one is about availability of raw material, right? So what we do here on raw material is that we have, being the largest manufacturer of transformers in the world, we have the ability really to leverage our volume to really make sure that we secure the best contract to serve our customers. So for the last 2 years, our supply chain team has really been working on that on a daily basis. That's one aspect. The second aspect also is simply the capability of manufacturing once you have the raw materials. So here, we're doing two things. Number one, we've been working with customers to make sure that they understand the breadth of a global footprint. We have factories to serve the US market, not only in the US, but also in the rest of the world. So here we've done a lot of work with our customers to make sure that they understand that and try to walk them through the process of being comfortable sourcing from those global plants. That's one. But at the same time also we're increasing our capacity. We've been investing, whether it's again globally, also in the US. In the US we've announced last year in 2022 we announced two major investments, one in our plant in South Boston, Virginia, and the other one in our plant Jeff City in Missouri. And the year before we finalize the investment in our plant in Blaine. So we are investing also in the factories.
Have you seen any? It's interesting because you talk about the technology of transformers has pretty much been the same for a long time. However, there are new technologies that are being applied in the manufacturing process and in the transformer itself. What do you all see as far as technology being able to advance the cause? Make transformers more resilient, more reliable. They've always been kind of safe beasts, but what are you seeing from a technology change standpoint?
We see a couple of elements. One of them is around sustainability, right? So here our R&D team are doing a lot of work in terms of making sure that our transformers are becoming more and more sustainable. That's one. We're doing also on the edge of it. We're doing some work, for example, when it comes to offshore wind, floating offshore wind, right? It's a very different environment. So also our team are doing a lot of work here to make sure that as a company, we can provide technology also that will support our customers on those very rough environments. But then on top of it, it's not only the transformers, it's then the capability that you can bring by connecting them online and having the intelligence in the back end to monitor the state of your transformers and the health of your transformers to optimize the use and also optimize the lifetime. So those are a couple of direction in which we are doing some work with our teams.
So part of the old trend, or the trend that is now accepted, was IoT monitoring, right? And I know that you have a multi-gas source for DGA monitoring, which you got to recommend to. I just can't imagine a utility buying a power transformer without having some form of monitoring on it right now. What other monitoring technologies are happening in a transformer? We can get DGA from the gas monitors, but what about monitoring current, load, all of those things? Is that part of the package? And teaching, or not teaching, but getting utilities to understand the scope of what they should order, the specification, so you can provide a reliable, resilient asset for the grid. So how do you educate them, and what is it that you educate them about?
Yes, it's a good question. I think here there's a lot of work that still has to be done in terms of, to your point, education, explaining to our customers what is it that we've developed that can really bring additional value to them, right? So here, I think this is a long journey, and we still have to continue going down that path and going through that education journey that you mentioned.
Okay. When you look, I know there are some things, and you mentioned some things going to be long-term with us. One of the long-term things we're having right now, and it's not going to be changed until, I don't know, I'm not sure what's going to change it, is labor. It's harder to get people. It's hard. Transformers are handmade for the most part, right? We don't use robotics on them, but getting labor from the unskilled technician to the field technician to the engineer group, the data management, data science, those kinds of things is an issue. Hitachi's got to be dealing with that, and how are you dealing with it?
Yes. So we are dealing with that, and we're dealing with that different ways. I mean, one is our team have done a lot of work and quite successfully, and so a big thank to them on working with the community where our factories are based to make sure that we can recruit the most possible and the best talent in those communities. So here we've done a lot of work now for the last 2 years. And again, successfully. Then there is, you mentioned the other part, which is around data analytics and all of this. So here also, we do a lot of work on the engineering side, trying to recruit the future talent. I think, and we have a good story. I think we are really now an industry that I think has a good story to tell to young talents who are wondering where to go. I think here we have an ability to make a difference. So really, I think here we still have more work to be done. I think this industry historically has not been the industry where the young people were necessarily thinking about. But I think now we see a little bit of a momentum, and so we need to, and not only as Hitachi Energy, but I think as an industry in general, we all need collectively to continue to make sure that people understand that what we do is extremely exciting, serves a great purpose, but also you get a chance to really use some of the best in the world technologies and tools, and I think this is extremely exciting. And another piece I would say also is around manufacturing. I think in general also in the US we have a challenge around kind of a cliche linked to manufacturing job, and for wrong reasons. I think today you can really have an exciting career in manufacturing. I think here, as an industry, not only Hitachi Energy, but all the peers, we all need to make sure that we continue to work and do more education around what is actually manufacturing today, what is a manufacturing job, and you can have an exciting career in that industry.
You know, we believe in the STEM program, science, for women, but also for getting young people involved in it that may not become engineers. They may become the people working in a factory. And we've found, and you just mentioned it, if the next generation wants to make a difference, they want a job that makes a difference. And it used to be pay, benefits, job security was always first.
Yes.
And then anything else. Now it's, I want it to make a difference and I want to enjoy what I do, which you talk about. So technology can help them enjoy what they do, whether that's the utility side or your side.
Absolutely.
We've addressed that problem. Hopefully we've solved it. But your gain is somebody else's loss, right? So it's the same thing. It's a supply side problem.
Yes.
And the demand continues to increase. When you step outside of the transformer and you look at everything related to the transformer, power systems, it's changing. Wind is changing. Electrification of transportation is changing. It's changing so that we're going to an inverter-based system, not the right now step-down system, right? We're actually taking power from everywhere, sending power out.
Yes.
What is Hitachi doing, and how are you addressing that inverter-based system?
Yes. So I think there are two big challenges that we as an industry need to work on. Number one is, in order to meet our energy transition targets in the US, but globally. So one is, we need to transition the economy towards an economy powered by electricity. That's one, and that electricity needs to come from sustainable sources. So this creates some challenges that technology can solve. So one of them is around the mismatch between where renewable electricity can be generated, for example, in the US, and where it's consumed. So here, this is where you need a large transmission line. This is where technology such as HVDC that we pioneered many years ago is really essential. And so here there's a lot of activity, and we're working with a lot of customers. So that's one element. The second element then is use more of that sustainable power And so here we see, we start to see a momentum on, more than start to see, we see it on electrification of vehicle. So that's a piece where we see more and more conversation happening with the customers, because we have a solution to support them with charging. So here we have a lot, but that comes on with its own challenges, because you then create you potentially add overnight a big load on the grid, and at parts of the grid where maybe a bus depot might be located, but where the grid might not be ready for that. So you have those challenges. So we need collectively to have those conversations, and we need to support our customers not only on the utility side, but also on the fleet charging side to talk to each other, right? Because historically they haven't, for good reason. So there is that role that we can play, and we're trying to play to support both sides of the equation. And then there is to your point on the fact that we put more and more renewable, but also we put more and more renewable at the distributed level. I think here that creates a grid or energy system in general, which is much more complex. So here this is where the digital layer, the software is extremely important. So this is where also over the years we've done a lot of work developing very innovative technology, and now we're working with a lot of our customers to help them implement those to make sure that we have a reliable and a resilient grid.
Yeah. The Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes.
What is your take on the inflation? What are the benefits to society, obviously, and what are the benefits to Hitachi?
So for us, it's a great piece of legislation, so we really applaud the US administration for this piece of legislation. We believe that it will accelerate investment in key part of the economy, such as more renewable, more storage, which is much needed if we want more renewable, but also things like hydrogen also, right? So we are really excited about it. On the flip side, I believe that I think we need to understand that those investments can happen and should happen, but if you don't have the grid infrastructure to be able to transmit that electricity, it's going to be a problem. And I think this is where we need to continue again as an industry to communicate around that, to make sure that we don't forget that we can invest as much as we want, and we should in renewable energy, but at the same time we also need to invest in the grid. So that's where we believe that a national or regional planning, transmission planning in the US is really something that would help the industry in general. So that's something that we continue to have conversation around with the different stakeholders. So planning is one element, and I think that's something that we all collectively should.
Okay. Should. Last question for you. I've been to your Missouri plant. I've been to your Virginia plant years ago.
Yes.
You mentioned something about expanding and innovation. What are the things that you're doing there to help meet this new demand for transformers?
Yeah. So we've announced that we will invest $10 million in our Missouri plant. We're investing $38 million in our South Boston, Virginia plant. And so here it's about increasing the capacity, right? So we're expanding really the factory to increase the capacity, and then we doubling up on our efforts to also make sure that we are also able to hire the people in the community to really help us also deliver the transformers to our customers.
Doesn't help if you built a bigger factory, but you don't have people to fill it. So
that can be
meeting both ends is great.
Yes.
Well, my guest has been Anthony Allard. He is Executive VP of North America for Hitachi Energy. Anthony, so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
This has been an APC Technologies production, and we thank you for joining us. Our sponsors have been H2Scan and Distributech. And of course, the communities of APC Technologies, which is Transform Technology, Power Systems Technology, Green Energy Technology, and Women in Power Systems. So thank you.